Assalamualaikum Ustaz Kodrat.
The movie opens with a tense scene in a house where Q0DRAT is desperately trying to save his possessed son Aleph by performing an exorcism. The demon possessing Aleph proves to be immensely powerful, attacking and injuring Q0DRAT. It then causes Aleph to levitate and menacingly swear to make him suffer for his guilt. Q0DRAT is then thrown out of the room by the demon, and when Q0DRAT rushes back to him, Aleph pleads for help just before the demon gruesomely kills him by twisting and breaking his neck. We next see Q0DRAT serving his sentence in prison, where he has been granted remission. However, he refuses release, feeling he has nothing to return to after his wife and son were killed by a demon named Aswala. At that moment, an officer approaches, places a chain around Q0DRAT's neck, and drags him away. The officer then hangs him, revealing himself to be possessed by Aswala. He taunts Q0DRAT, stating that the only way out for him is in a body bag. As Q0DRAT begins to suffocate and nears death, other officers rush in, attempting to restrain the possessed officer. But despite their efforts, Q0DRAT dies after enduring prolonged suffering. Suddenly, Q0DRAT unexpectedly wakes up alone in a vast desert. He hears distant prayers and starts wandering through the barren landscape. Eventually, he settles down and begins to recite prayers himself. As he prays, a strong wind whips around him and the sun beats down intensely. And the next time he awakens, he finds himself in a startling new environment, surrounded by dead bodies in a mortuary. Upon his release from prison, Q0DRAT boards a bus where he notices a little girl crying incessantly. Sensing something amiss, he asks the bus to stop and disembark, only to discover that the girl was frightened by the presence of a spirit. Later, as Q0DRAT passes through a village, he hears screams emanating from a house where several women are gathered, reciting prayers. Despite the commotion, Q0DRAT chooses to ignore it and continues on his way. Inside that house, Tanti and her sister Yasmin are deeply concerned about Tanti's daughter Jihan, whose condition is deteriorating. Suddenly, they hear Jihan scream, prompting them to rush to her side. Tanti attempts to soothe her, but Jihan violently pushes them away. Momentarily, Jihan's demeanor shifts to calmness, and she begins to cry. But just as Tanti hopes that her daughter is recovering, Jihan adopts a sinister smile and stares at them creepily. In a shocking turn, Jihan forcefully pushes them back and strikes her head against a wooden block, causing a severe injury as blood begins to flow from her head. And before anyone can react appropriately, Jihan again bangs her head, this time fatally. Meanwhile, Q0DRAT visits the boarding school, where he once studied and reconnects with his old friend Jafar. Q0DRAT inquires about the unsettling state of the village and asks about Priest Roshim. Jafar explains that everything was normal until 3 years ago, when Aleph, Q0DRAT's son, died in circumstances they believe were no ordinary accident. Since then, Priest Roshim devoted himself to nightly prayers and remembrances for Aleph, neglecting his own health. Eventually, the priest fell mysteriously ill, and around the same time, the villagers began to experience inexplicable occurrences. Jafar, reflecting on Q0DRAT's past successes in performing exorcisms and saving lives with his gift, questions him with a heavy heart. What sin had he committed that he could not save his own son? Later, Yasmin is at home with her son Aleph, who asks her to play with him. She gently tells him to finish his dinner and go to bed, but he becomes upset and declares he's going to play with his dad before leaving the room. After some time, Yasmin is startled to hear Aleph conversing with his father in his room, because it's been years since his father passed away. Yasmin rushes to check, and Aleph explains that he's playing with his dad. Just then, Yasmin's daughter Asha returns home, and Yasmin informs her about Jihan's death and her visit to the prayers. Asha expresses frustration, believing Jihan needed medical help, not spells. Alif asks about spells, prompting Asha to send him to bed so she can talk to their mom. Yasmin confides in Asha that Aleph has been talking to the wardrobe, claiming to be playing with his dad. Suddenly, they hear Alif's screams and rushing to his room. They find him lying unconscious near the wardrobe. They place him on the bed, and Yasmin notices he has a fever. The next day, Yasmin and Asha reconcile after their disagreement the previous night. As Asha leaves for school, Alif suddenly sits up and asks for his wardrobe. Yasmin explains that she has stored it away and tries to feed him, but he refuses to eat and throws the food. That night, as Q0DRAT recites prayers, a sudden gust of wind knocks over a photo frame. Meanwhile, Yasmin discovers that Alif is missing. Frantically, she searches for him with Asha's help. Yasmin goes to the storage area looking for him and finds Alif conversing with someone. Alarmed, she questions him, but he claims his dad told him he could walk again as long as he obeys him. When Yasmin insists that his father is deceased, Alif becomes hostile, attacking her with a changed voice and animalistic growls, wielding gardening scissors to injure her. Yasmin manages to escape and locks him in the storage area, warning Asha not to let him out. She rushes to the boarding school to seek help from Ustad Jafar, urgently explaining the situation to Q0DRAT, who initially tries to reassure her and suggests waiting for Jafar's return. However, upon learning that her son's name is Alif, Q0DRAT agrees to help. Meanwhile, the demon manipulates Asha into breaking the lock and asks her to come inside the wardrobe if she loves him. She asks him to come out, but he says he doesn't want to, as he wants to play with Dad. Then suddenly he attacks her and drags her inside, and she reaches into another dimension, where her family is preparing for her birthday. Overcome with emotion, she embraces her father and celebrates her birthday with them. However, the joyful scene turns sinister when the demon urges Asha to cut the cake, leading her to inadvertently harm herself by cutting her wrist. After a while, Q0DRAT and Yasmin arrive at the scene and hear Asha's screams, and they discover her unconscious inside the wardrobe with possessed Alif. As Q0DRAT recites prayers, Alif faints, and they manage to get Asha out of the wardrobe. Q0DRAT confronts the demon, demanding to know its identity, to which the demon accuses Q0DRAT of hypocrisy, claiming he lacks faith despite invoking God's name. When Alif attempts to attack Q0DRAT, he subdues him and begins the exorcism, prompting the demon to reveal its name as Kadawab. Despite Q0DRAT's efforts to expel the demon, it laughs mockingly and warns of a stronger force that will come to destroy humanity before departing from Alif's body. As Q0DRAT journeys back, the demon manifests in front of him, taking the shape of a black dog. Q0DRAT recognizes the entity as Aswala, and suddenly, the demon morphs into his son, causing Q0DRAT to lose his balance and tumble down the mountainside in a chilling turn of events. On the other hand, realizing that Alif is possessed again, Yasmin and Asha secure him in his room, but they are interrupted by the arrival of Jafar, who declares his intention to take Alif away. However, Q0DRAT arrives just in time to intervene, explaining to Jafar that they must perform an exorcism to save Alif from the demon Aswala, who has possessed him once again. Q0DRAT recounts how Aswala not only killed his own son, but also attempted to kill Q0DRAT himself in prison, before manifesting in the village. However, Jafar rebuffs Q0DRAT's offer of help, questioning his motives. He challenges whether Q0DRAT is acting in the name of God or seeking revenge for his personal loss. The following day, Tanti's husband expresses his belief that Jafar and his followers are exploiting religion for their own gain, contributing to the village's decline. Mistaking Q0DRAT for one of Jafar's associates, he attacks him, but their confrontation is interrupted by Tanti's screams, as they discover she has taken her own life. Later, Alif shows signs of improvement, and he is returned to Yasmin and Asha's care. Q0DRAT confronts Jafar about his intentions, questioning what he gained from Yasmin's family. Jafar explains that the farms and money were gifts from the villagers, but Q0DRAT challenges him, asking if he only helps those who can pay. Jafar defends his actions, claiming he is working for the betterment of the village and to build a new mosque. However, Q0DRAT asserts that such efforts are meaningless if people continue to suffer because of Jafar's actions. He demands that Jafar refrain from interfering with Yasmin's land and plantations and cease charging for exorcisms, emphasizing that they must help without expecting payment. In response, Jafar instructs his associate Kobar to prepare Q0DRAT's departure, asserting that he is too holy to remain in their midst. Later that night, Yasmin gives Aleph water that Jafar had blessed with a prayer. As Aleph drinks the water, the lights suddenly go out, causing him to become frightened. Concerned, Yasmin heads to the storage area to switch on the generator, only to discover it's out of fuel. As she begins to refill it, her lamp goes out, plunging her into darkness. Startled by sounds emanating from the wardrobe, Yasmin frantically attempts to relight the lamp. Unbeknownst to her, Aswala, the demon, lurks behind her, launching a sudden attack and possessing her. When Yasmin fails to return after an extended period, Asha becomes worried and ventures outside to investigate. Encountering her mother, who instructs her to find Jafar, Asha departs, leaving behind a possessed Yasmin emerging from the darkness. Meanwhile, when Q0DRAT meets Roshim before leaving, he tries to tell him something, but Kobar tells him he should go now. Q0DRAT then engages in a physical altercation with Jafar's men, and when goes to confront Jafar, he hears him worshipping Satan for powers to rule the world. He finds him in his secret place and tries to fight him to stop him, but Jafar overpowers him and knocks him down. Jafar asks him to drink the blood and join him in worshipping Aswala, but when Q0DRAT denies it, Jafar says he will force him to worship the demon. Q0DRAT says he worships only God and tries to fight him again, and this time he manages to knock him down. Only then does Asha reaches there and gets shocked by the scene there. Meanwhile, Yasmin, under the demon's influence, is shown burying Aleph alive. Q0DRAT and Asha arrive on the scene, where Q0DRAT asks Yasmin, "Where is Aleph?" To which the demon says every time he failed to kill him and overthrow his faith, but not today. Q0DRAT again asks it, "Where is Aleph?" To which the demon asks, "Which Aleph? The one whose neck he broke? Or the Aleph he just buried alive?" Now, as Q0DRAT gets ready to fight him, the demon jumps on him to attack him, but Q0DRAT dodges it. He then begins the exorcism to expel the demon from Yasmin, and during this, Asha tries to get Aleph out of the ground. However, that demon is so powerful that even prayers were not having any effect on it, and it makes Q0DRAT weak. It then clings to Q0DRAT's back, injures him badly, and tells him that it will kill all religious men, so no one will pray. But Q0DRAT places his hand on Yasmin's forehead and begins reciting prayers, determined not to allow the demon to mock God's teachings. Summoning all its strength, the demon forces Q0DRAT to levitate in the air and clings to him fiercely. However, Q0DRAT persists in his prayers, refusing to succumb to the demon's malevolence. After a prolonged struggle, both Q0DRAT and Yasmin eventually collapse to the ground, exhausted from the intense battle. As Yasmin regains her senses and inquires about Aleph's whereabouts, Asha breaks down in tears. Q0DRAT, determined to find Aleph, begins digging up the ground and is shocked to discover his son buried there. Aleph expresses his certainty that his father would come to rescue him, urging him to join him so they can reunite with his mother. Overcome with emotion, Q0DRAT recalls the pain of losing his son and embraces him tightly, expressing his love and longing. Joined by Yasmin and Asha, they begin reciting prayers together. Despite Aleph's attempts to resist, Q0DRAT persists in his prayers, infuriating the demon who threatens to strip him of everything he holds dear. Undeterred, Q0DRAT continues the exorcism, steadfast in his determination to rid Aleph of the demon's influence. With unwavering resolve, he successfully expels the demon from Aleph's body, bringing an end to the harrowing ordeal. 6 months later, the village has regained its vibrancy, and Roshim has fully recovered from his illness. Q0DRAT, feeling the need to uncover the truth about his wife Aziz's fate, seeks Roshim's permission to depart. Graciously, Roshim gifts Q0DRAT his old bike for the journey ahead, and Q0DRAT expresses his gratitude before setting off. On his way, Q0DRAT is stopped by Aleph, who miraculously gets up from his wheelchair. With a smile exchanged between them, Q0DRAT continues his journey. The movie concludes, hinting at Q0DRAT's eventual return, leaving viewers with a sense of hope and anticipation. Thanks for facing the frights with us. If you survived this video, drop a like, summon that subscribe button, and brace yourself for more horror. Until next time, stay spooked.